up, guys? This is the Kinda Funny Gamescast. I am Tim Gettys. I'm here with Colin Moriarty.
Hello.
Greg Miller.
Hi, I'm getting the dog to drink water so Colin doesn't kill him. That's why I have two waters. One's for me and one's for Portillo.
He won't drink water.
Mm-hmm. Portillo has no survival instincts. No. It's like he is the living embodiment of Darwinism, of survival of the fittest. So like he doesn't know to drink water. He'll come to bed all night long. It's like you're thirsty, and then if he doesn't drink or eat, because you gotta praise him to eat. If he does neither, he has a seizure. It's like
So different than us.
Yeah, thank God he's here with us.
Team
Fat for life.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first episode of this show. Now, if you're familiar with us for any reasons as video game dudes, or as us from the Game Over Grady show, this is combining those two worlds,
right?
Which is pretty exciting. So You're getting the same thing you know from the Game Over Grady show, topic by topic, Monday through Thursday, full episode on Friday. You can get it on iTunes, SoundCloud, all those places for free. A week later, if you want it early, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. That whole rigmarole, you should know it well by now.
I introduced the word rigmarole to your life, right?
And I loved it.
Okay, just making
it is a great word.
It's a great word. It's just funny
really
how
good.
it's now a thing every podcast, every video.
It's a really, really, really good thing.
Yeah.
If you just want to buy the newest episode, you can go to Bandcamp. Kindafunny.bandcamp.com. We're still working on this a little bit.
I mean, we should point out, Tim.
Yeah.
You're hosting.
Oh, I'm hosting.
It's finally happening. Hashtag let
this.
Tim host is happening here. There it is.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
You made this happen. And I'm pretty excited about it. This is going to be a weekly thing, just like the Game Over Grady show.
Right.
But every week we talk about all the video game stuff, all the biggest news that's happening, whatever we want to talk about.
Right.
It's liberating.
This is the big topic picture. This is the big picture podcast. Colin and I, of course, are over on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames,
Yes.
doing a daily talk show about comics, games, movies, everything, the biggest stories. Here's where we can come in and get nitty gritty with like giant topics and wrestle around with them,
nerd out
roll
with
around,
it.
take our shirts off.
Oh, yeah.
Rub down.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's a better group of gentlemen that I would like to do this show with.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is going to be good. And the plan for the show is that it's going to be us.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we'll have Nick come on.
Yeah. Oh, there'll be every once in a while there'll be an ever-rotating fourth chair.
Oh,
Whoever
there you
we
go.
want can bring in and come on.
And we got some cool guests planned.
Of course.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Here's what I want to call out already, and I'm sure the comments on YouTube and of course over on Patreon are exploding. I love your NPR voice.
This is my NPR voice.
You're very. I think maybe probably because you hear it, you're more subdued. You sound very intelligent.
This is weird. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Just the headphones. I'm not used to this at all.
Yeah. This is usually Nick's job.
Nick's. Now I understand why he's so weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we can chalk it
That's
all up
probably
to
the
the
reason
audio.
why.
10% of it comes from that.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about 2014. It's now 2015. We don't have jobs anymore.
Right.
This is now our job. That's a eye-opening thing for me. But 2014 brought us a lot of good games.
Oh yeah.
What's our game of the year for 2014?
Greg?
South Park.
Oh.
South Park is game of the year,
That's a
and
good choice.
I've gone around. I've had a rigmarole about what game I would pick as game of the year.
I don't think you're using that word right there. No. You can't just put it out wherever you want.
Well,
Just roll into the ring.
Yesterday I went to my sandwich shop and rigmarole. Here I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, South Park is the one that stands out for me. It's the one it was the first game I played that year where I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm enjoying every moment. Brian Altano, I always tell the story of us texting back and forth all weekend. Like, did you get to this part? What did you do here? I hadn't had that experience with other games that year, and granted, it was an early game, and then the rest of the year still. Like, there's great games that I want to give shout-outs to. A lot of shout-outs coming my way.
Oh, yeah.
But my pick for game of the year is South Park.
Okay. Colin?
My pick would be Shovel Knight, and I'm wearing my Shovel Knight shirt right now.
Pride.
It's funny because all of the great... I don't want to say all of them. Because I play... Oh, you hit the light? Yeah, it's all right. We're working all the kinks out. Three of my favorite games of the year all came out really towards the first half of the year, and that would be South Park's one of those games, Child of Light, and Shovel Knight. But in terms of pure gameplay is king, as I always say. I made up that term. If you hear that term anywhere else, it's because I made it up.
You coined it.
Yeah. I coined bro shooter, and I coined
Bro Shooter.
Yeah,
You're gonna take credit for
I'm
Bro Shooter.
definitely taking credit for bro shooter, and I'm taking credit certainly, real credit, not fake credit. Like I was taking credit for bro shooter. I'm gonna take real credit for whatever the hell that is I just said. But Shovel Knight is gameplay. Gameplay is king, and it harkens back to these NES days, these pure gameplay days where there was limited tools for the developers to use, limited art assets, hex graphics, parallax scrolling, all of this weird stuff that like you really need to have a great
to get Colin.
8-bit side scroller, or it can be a 16-bit side scroller, or 30, whatever. But
side scroll is all you need.
Exactly. This game just plays like a dream. It's part Capcom's DuckTales, it's part Zelda 2, it's part Mario 3, it's part Mega Man 2, it's part Ninja Gaiden, it's part Castlevania. There's a lot of great, and the weird thing about that is that those aren't just throwaway games. Those are all fantastic games. If you were to make a list of the top 20 NES games, every one of those games would be on that list. You know, all 3 Ninja Gaidens, all 6 Mega Mans, all 3 Castlevanias.
Sure.
You know, Zelda 2, DuckTales. They're all, so they didn't just be like, we're gonna borrow a little bit from Metal Storm, we're gonna borrow a little bit from, well, they did borrow from Faxanadu a little bit, but not just these regular games. So it was a really special game, and I think people were really surprised by it.
Sure.
And it's not, my only complaint is it's not very hard. It's not a very hard game, and I want the games to be harder, but I do agree with you. South Park, fantastic.
Right, you went into a lot of depth on why you liked it, right? I think for South Park it was
Sorry,
the fact that, no, it's great.
We're figuring it out.
This is how the Game Over. What show is this? Kinda Funny Gamescast works.
Yeah.
This table, we all talk about whatever we want. No, that's the thing for South Park and why it stood out to me is that super funny. I mean, it's so hard to make a funny video game, right? Because like comedy's all about
timing.
Exactly.
Damn,
You like that?
I like that.
And a pregnant pause.
Yeah, when people stop, they look at the MP3 player,
I love
the
pregnant
YouTubes. All about timing. So to put that into a game world is difficult, to say the least. But like South Park did it by, first off, like having the game looks like the show.
And that's what's crazy. I remember a long time ago playing Simpsons Wrestling on the PS1 and being like, this looks just like the show. It's like, was I stupid?
Yeah.
No, it didn't. It was horrible. But looking at South Park, like I showed my brother and he actually thought it was South Park.
Right.
Like until you see the the commands come up.
Once the HUD pops up,
Yeah,
But like when you're
besides
actually
that.
playing it and then jumping into it and the fact that it was like, I think Ryan McCaffrey always says that it's like the next season. It's like this entire season's long story, and it is. And I love that. And I always think it gets a bad rap from people of like, oh, sure, but I don't like South Park. And it's like, well, or I'm not up to date on South Park. I'm like, I hadn't watched South Park in years and jumped into this game and had so much fun. And it wasn't about like callbacks as much as it was about right now and them having a commentary on video games, on role playing, all these different things. And then for me, the turnoff for me with RPGs a lot of time is how complicated they get and how much stuff is happening. People knock the combat system of South Park. I liked it.
No, I liked it too.
Sure, it was simple, but it wasn't simple where I'm like just button mashing and not paying attention. It was Custom Quest simple, where there's a sense of timing in what I'm doing, and that mattered.
Yeah, it's similar to the Mario RPG games.
Right.
And that's awesome. Like they're fun. It's a little more actiony than the whole like just grindy stuff, but like I liked it.
Yeah,
really, really good. Going back to Shovel Knight real quick, how do you think that compares to the NES games? Like, would you put that in the same caliber as them?
No, I mean, yeah, I would, and I wouldn't. I mean, I think that those games are products of their time. So, like, when I judge a game like Mario 3 or something, it's so impressive. Today, I still think Mario 3 is a 10, actually. You know, that was made in 1987 and 88, or released in 88, obviously in Japan, 90 here, and that game is a product of the limitations of that time. In other words, my assumption is that if Shovel Knight was put on an NES cartridge, it wouldn't work, because there's certainly things it's doing that shouldn't be doing. But you know, nonetheless, like I think that it's more apt to compare it to Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10 or Blood Rain Betrayal or like one of these like really old school side scrollers that are made today. And I think that it's just a fantastic game. It understands what it is, and I think that that's really cool. It's new and unique, and you can see a lot of different games in it, especially for people that grew up with NES like we did. Like it is one of those special games. But I know for a fact on Twitter and you know on IGN, people have mentioned to us, you know, I'm 16, I'm 18, I play this game. They have no frame of reference really, and it's still a great game to them too. And that's how I know when I hear things like that this game's really special. In terms of South Park, if it wasn't for Child of Light, I think South Park would certainly be my game of the year, because I agree with you. I haven't watched South Park regularly since 2000 maybe, 2001. So. And I've seen maybe a handful of episodes at all since then.
And they're amazing, always.
And it is a great show, and I never had a problem with it. It's like I authentically don't like The Simpsons, for instance. Like I actually don't like that show. And like, sorry, I'm offending Kevin.
Gonna be upset.
But like South Park was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm just, you know, I'm not into it anymore. It's fine, it's funny. They're very funny characters, it's great writing. And
it's fine.
It's
The South Park.
And
it's not your thing.
It made me laugh out loud. It made me like laugh from my stomach. Like that game, I don't think a game's ever made me laugh more than a couple times ever.
Yeah.
And the fact that this game was funny, it engaged my girlfriend in the sense where she was watching and she was doing her Cartman impression and stuff like that I didn't even know she could do, which is like hilarious. And it was a well-told story, and I think the combat's actually really good too. I think the one problem with the game was the way it ran, and that it's easy to it's like what we talk about with Bethesda games. It's easy to overlook some of the technical flaws of a game when they're so good. And I think that was the thing with South Park was that, it hiccups for a few people. Some people had like save corruption, I think, and like frozen game stuff. I never had any problems with that.
For mine, it would be like there'd be a frame stop and then it speed up and catch up to where I was. But it was always like entering a new area and walking. It wasn't like I blew the game.
But I loved it. And I'll tell you guys two things about this game. One is that I hope that they do another one. And I think Obsidian's capable of doing another one. I think that money was made on this game. I think it surprised a lot of people. It certainly charted on MPD. Extra costs were involved with developing for such a long time. Obviously, it was in a series in limbo, in development hell, literally for a while when THQ went down. But
but even on top of that, I love them to make another one. I would love them to port the current one to Vita and just do it all over again. The problem with
Vita, I don't think could run it.
I know. Doing a sequel though, the problem with is the fact that it was Matt and Trey that the reason it's so funny is that they were so hands on with it. I remember doing the Comic-Con panel with them where they're making jokes about never wanting to do it again. But there's it was ringing true too because they're used to writing their script and getting it out, and everybody knows how crazy their process is to make an episode of South Park. A game was even worse, right? And them doing all these voices, this, that, and the other. I don't think you'll ever get them to do it again.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I think that their involvement was essential, obviously, just like it is for the show's longevity. I think the other interesting thing that we have to consider is that this game was supposed to come out at a certain time. Obviously, THQ went down, but even when it was reacquired by another publisher, it was supposed to come out earlier. This is a great example of a game needing more time and getting more time and it working out.
Right.
We often talk about that when we did Podcast Beyond on with The Last of Us, which is a great example. Like they swear, Naughty Dog swears up and down, left and right that game was the 6 weeks that they got to polish that game was the difference between it being good and being great.
Right.
And they got even more time over at Obsidian, and Obsidian's doing a lot of other stuff right now. So I'm sure that they were stressed out with that, but they did a really nice job. That was my biggest surprise of the year was that game. I just didn't expect to like it like that. You know? And up and down, left and right, I wanted that game to be 3 times longer. I wanted it to be, bulkier and bigger, but it was perfect kind of the way it was.
Yeah, exactly. It left me wanting more, right? I didn't burn out. I don't look back at it, and I think, how so many games end with such a bullshit boss battle. I don't look back. That's not my memory. My memory is playing through and my dad's balls swinging above me as he was having sex with me. I'm and fighting the underwear gnomes and doing all these things, and Mr. Hanky. It's like, there were so many things to that game where in the beginning you start, you're like, I can't wait to see Mr. Hanky. And I had forgotten all about him until you run into him. It's like, oh, right. God.
My child.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And there's so many chances for that game to have failed so miserably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, come on.
Commercially and critically, and it didn't.
Exactly.
It didn't either way. That was the really surprising thing. I guess I underestimated South Park's pull still. Much like I underestimated Simpsons pull still.
Sure.
It's like, why is this show still on? Well, people are watching. Millions of people still watching.
Right.
It's the same thing with South Park. So it's I agree. I mean, critically, certainly it was a big surprise for me. Because it reminded me a lot of the way people felt about Wolfenstein, which was, I think people were unimpressed in preview coverage or just didn't really know what the game was.
Yeah.
And that happened with Wolfenstein too, and then they ended up actually being way better than people thought. So it's actually kind of pleasant. That usually doesn't happen like that. Usually you get a pretty good idea of if a game's going to be worth your time or not pretty early.
Well, the thing about South Park, remember, is that they hid it for so long. Nobody saw that game for so long, and then finally we all got to, not all of us, but I went with a bunch of other games journos and got to play it at Ubisoft. And I was like, wait, this seems awesome. They let us play it from the start, and it's like, I wasn't expecting this. And,
I remember when you guys first came back from that event, you were like, no, guys, it's good. And everyone was like,
nobody believed
really?
it, right? Yeah.
No way.
And that was the same thing with Wolfenstein. Is Damon and I kept going to PAX.
Yeah, we went to PAX and
stuff. And you'd play it again and again, and you're like, this seems like it's fun. Is that right? Is that okay? Am I allowed to be excited for this? I remember asking people. Yeah,
that game was really surprising.
Yeah, well, you guys are wrong, because the game of the year is obviously Super Smash Brothers.
That's a great choice.
Like, we all knew that I was going to say that, but my God, it's so good. It's so, whether it's on the 3DS or Wii U. Now, granted, the Wii U is way better.
Yeah,
way better. But I
3DS it's gentrified, because if you're an original 3DS owner like myself, you can't play it.
Yeah,
it's too small. You can't see what's happening. But when I went and played it on the 3DS XL, I was like, all right, this is awesome.
Like, this is better. Yeah. It's still not perfect, but just the fact that I get to play Smash wherever I want. And like, originally when they first announced that the 3DS one was coming out before the Wii U, I was like, okay, Nintendo, you're just throwing it in, like, you're giving up on the Wii U, and this is the sign of that, whatever. And now I'm like, nah, they just wanted to give the demo for people to, like, tell them you need the better version of this, right? And, like, I feel like, did that work to sell Wii U's? I don't know.
Probably I think it was the reverse, right? I think if you would have put out the Wii U version, nobody would have cared as much about the 3DS version.
Well, exactly. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, they don't, I mean, they need people to care about it because they need people to buy it. Sure. The 3DS is a success.
Right.
The Wii U is not. So they'd want to, like, try to get people to get the Wii U one first. But the 3DS one, I'm happy at the end of the day that it came out first, because that gave me a month and a half of, like,
Practice.
No, just like a different experience, really.
Okay.
There's so much different stuff with that game, like the single player mode specifically, that I loved. And then
did you like the whole stupid run through the area and beat
hated it? Smash Run,
yeah,
garbage,
that's it. Thank you.
total garbage. But like there was a lot of other stuff in it that I did like. But the Wii U one brings back the event mode and like all the stuff that I loved about the other games. And man, just the multiplayer. Like we have so much fun playing that.
Yeah. You can watch it right here on youtube.com/kindafunnygames.
Yeah, it is an unrivaled party game, and that series really always has been. Because I mean, even on N64, just by the nature of N64's 4 ports and stuff, it was the same reason why GoldenEye worked and stuff like that. Like you could involve more people and get people involved in 2-player matches, whatever you wanted to do. But it just was an engaging kind of game even when that came out, and it always was that on GameCube and then on Wii and then on Wii U. I think with this particular Smash Brothers release, it's fun. I love it. It's impeccable. Nintendo's production values are impeccable. The fact that their game works is impeccable. They don't need to patch their stuff. Like it's typically they go above and beyond like what they need to do or what. No, that's not true. They go they go way above and beyond what other publishers do in terms of quality, and that shows in their games in their first party.
Yeah,
games.
that's why they stand out. It's why you always cite them as their games are released and work.
Yeah,
and
it's
a giant failure of any.
They have QA and they well everyone has QA, but their QA works and it's but. I will say that the game, no jump will ever be as significant to me in that series as the jump from N64 to GameCube.
Oh, sure,
and I don't think the game has legs for me. Like I think that it'll be fun to always play with other people.
Yeah.
But as a gamer myself, as a single player gamer, I'm never gonna sit there and play it. That's why I kind of like Subspace Emissary on Melee, which was on Brawl because at least it gave me something to kind of do. You're always collecting trophies and there's always like kind of a single player component, but I felt like that was cohesive and it was fun, and you wanted to see the next stupid cutscene about how these characters.
The cutscenes made it worth it. Like that mode was really bad, really, when you think about it. But like, it was still fun, and it was worth it just to get the cutscenes. But Melee had the adventure mode, which was that minus the cutscenes. Right. But the gameplay was better in the adventure mode. Yeah. And then they just gave up in this one. There just isn't a single player mode.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem because I think that there's a few things that are clear with this game. It's going to be a huge hit for Nintendo and stuff like that, but it's not going to push an astronomical amount of Wii U. So this is going to be a game that is out there for a limited number of people, and they're going to therefore have either their friends over or they can play online, and it does work online. We've played it online.
Yeah.
What up, Frank?
But essentially and ultimately, I think that like they've hurt themselves by not implementing more of a single player mode into this series, and I wonder if they're going to. I feel like they could do so much more. The Wii U is so much more. I mean, it's funny because it's not nearly as powerful as PS4 and Xbox One, but so much more capable of receiving DLC and receiving patches and being able to be built upon that this becomes more of a platform as opposed to Brawl, which was released as, and I really love Brawl as a kind of a standalone product that it was what it was and it was always going to be.
Yeah.
I think that it's the same way when we talk about Gran Turismo and those kinds of things, like where in the future these are going to become platforms, and Super Smash Brothers ultimately, maybe on their next console or the next handheld, or hopefully a fusion of the two, is just Super Smash Brothers, and it's just a thing that they build for years.
Right. 2 things. Number 1, rotate your headphones to get your cord off your microphone. You're doing a great job of hosting.
Yeah.
Number 2, I think that it's crazy for you to, or not crazy, I shouldn't say. I didn't expect you to say it doesn't have legs, because for me, Super Smash Brothers is the first Wii U game I've bought where I'm like, I want to turn this on regularly to play with other people.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they'll add a single player mode to it. And I do think that this is Nintendo playing to what their console is. Their console is a machine that gets turned on at irregular intervals to be played for whatever the big thing is, right? So the fact that you already have a machine that it's just a toy. Like, this is what you do. You don't play it every day. You play it when you want to play the new Mario or the Zelda or whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is the same thing. You only turn it on to play this game when you want to play with other people, whether it be online, whether it be for everybody. And that was a weird thing when it was coming out and people were like, this is going to sell units and stuff. And I was like, is it? Like, I feel like this is a game that I love, and I love Smash. And when I finally got a Wii U, it was definitely for Mario Kart and it was for Smash. But I feel like that's how most gamers were. I didn't know many gamers who were still holding on, being like, I'm going to buy it when Smash comes out. You already bought it saying, I'm going to get it when Smash comes out.
See, the thing there is there's 5 friends I have that are friends that aren't like hardcore gamers, bought Wii U's for Smash.
Yeah.
Like, that is something that happened in the last month. And granted, a lot of it was Christmas presents and stuff like that, but that's what they wanted. They were like girlfriends were buying it for their boyfriends and all this stuff, and it's just like they wanted a Wii U to be able to play Smash with their friends and online and all that stuff. And like, I foresee that happening for years. You know what I mean? Like, just we were playing Brawl up until 2 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna play this.
But you guys are crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not like normal people.
Brawl's a different beast. I still think that like Brawl. I like Brawl a lot. I think I like Brawl more than a lot of people like it. But it was on a proliferated machine later in its life cycle that was just out there more. I think people were surprised. I was more surprised that Mario Kart didn't sell more units, and when it didn't, not software but hardware, like it wasn't pushing. It bumped hardware, but it wasn't like this plateau and then skyrocket from there. So that was the harbinger for Smash Brothers, because that was the last game that was really able to do that. Not even Zelda's going to do it. Everyone forgets that. We've often cited the numbers with Zelda, which is really the last big game that's coming out, unless they do a 3D Mario, which I'm sure they're going to obviously release and they've announced or whatever. But like Zelda Skyward Sword sold fewer units than Uncharted 3. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that was on a system there was almost 100 million of them at the time.
Yeah, there was a great install base.
So like Wii U is what it is, and Smash Brothers is its paramount game right now. I think Zelda's probably going to be that for a lot of people. That game looks awesome. But I think it's a good choice for Game of the Year. I was just surprised by how it resonated with me and how I'll always play it, just like I always play Brawl or Melee with people. I haven't played the N64 one in years, probably since high school, but and I don't know how it would stand up. But nothing's going to ever be that jump from N64 to GameCube, and therefore I'm never going to be that impressed with it, because I think the major problem with it too is its roster of characters, because it's just, I wanted more. There's a lot of the same characters, a lot of Fire Emblem characters, a lot of like, it's just like
awesome.
Yeah, but it's just like
they're not like getting you excited. Maybe you nerd. You like shirtless Shulk. That's all you like.
But he's not Fire Emblem.
Yeah, Xenoblade.
Oh, I'm sorry. Some other fucking franchise no one's heard of. All right.
Well, Fire Emblem's a big. I have no problem with Fire Emblem characters being in it, but it's like these guys. I don't even know the difference between these guys, like aesthetically or by skill set.
There was a couple choices on the roster that just make no sense, like Lucina and Marth being literally the same, and Dr. Mario coming back. It's like, what? Why would you even waste that?
Therefore,
spot?
no, and no Ice Climbers, which is a big problem for me. I really do love the Ice Climbers. But even like, it's just so funny. There are characters that they can work into this series, like third party characters even.
Simon Belmont.
Yeah, Simon Belmont's a great choice. Mega Man getting in there was awesome, but I've always said that Dr. Wily as a Pokemon trainer-like character would have been awesome. And like, I was hoping someone would steal that idea. They're much smarter people than me at Nintendo that maybe have come up with that independently, and like, just, it's so brilliant. He stands in the background and uses robots. There's a lot of different characters they can draw from their history to make it a more interesting roster. That said, this was a good example and a good reminder to us, because we liked PlayStation All-Stars, about why this game works and All-Stars didn't, because I think All-Stars was a very mechanically sound game made by that fighting game pros, and I think that in some ways that game was a more true and a deeper fighting game.
Than Smash?
Yeah, in its own way. We've talked about this.
In some ways.
We've talked about this many times. Like,
what's one way?
Well, I think that the meter building is really interesting, because it's really all about. It's not about chip damage. It's really about meter building, in which you can unleash these things that might not hit, and so you have to build it to level 3 where you can use it to scatter everyone. We've talked about this many times before. I don't want to bore people with it. They've probably heard it before, but Smash Brothers is a unique game that All-Stars probably should have just totally aped, as opposed to
That's my biggest problem with All-Stars, is it didn't copy Smash.
It copied to 90%, and you go that final 10, and that's why it doesn't feel as great.
Yeah, but it definitely had. That game definitely had chops that I think were that people didn't expect, and then I think surprised some people, and that some people just don't see or refuse to acknowledge that they're there. That said, I haven't played that game in a long time either. I don't care about that game anymore. But again, the roster of All-Stars and the roster of Smash is a good example why Smash just works, because man, these characters are timeless. I mean, it doesn't. There's nothing like that. No one else can do a game like this, and that's what makes it uniquely Nintendo. That's what makes me excited about it. But at the same time, like, I wonder in a year if I'm gonna care anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long tail. You brought up in passing, you guys, Mario Kart. Mario Kart came out this year, and what's still mind-boggling to me is that if you would have talked to me a year ago, 365, I would have told you I cannot wait for Mario Kart, and I'm sure I'll play Smash. Yeah. And Mario Kart came, and I had one great weekend with it, and then I was like, eh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's something about this Mario Kart, and I kept saying, this makes me feel like I've finally gotten old, but I'm finally an old man and not a kid. But there's something about the one genre of games I'm good at, and I feel like I can always hold my own as a kart racer. And the problem with Mario Kart is I feel like I get fucked over left and right. And like, where you're going and everything's fine, you're neck and neck with somebody, then I'm hit, and then once you fall back to 5th or 6th, it's over. Yeah. You aren't getting...
You're just getting hit a million times.
You're not getting items to get you in front of anybody, and you're getting hit all the time by red shells and crap. And so, like, it's like, whereas Smash, and this goes back to what you're talking about, I think, about how PlayStation All-Stars might have been a more pure fighter, and maybe one of the reasons that more people backed off. Smash is still anybody's game. Even when we play, right? Final Destination, no items. It's still anybody's matchup. You get a chance to do stuff, right?
Yeah, especially when playing 8-player Smash.
Exactly. But like Mario Kart, I felt like there gets to be those points where like you do not have a chance. There's no way this is turning around. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's my own shortcomings of skills or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what happened, and that's what I couldn't believe. I was so ready for Mario Kart and so ready to just DLC. Yeah, give it me everything.
The DLC is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, but like I can't even motivate myself to get it.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like I can't even get motivated to download it and do it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do Let's Plays here if people want on Kinda Funny Games. But like,
that'd be a good idea.
it's just like outside, we can finish right now and then blow off work and go play Smash, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like I'm never gonna be like, let's play Mario Kart, guys. Let's get into Mario Kart right now.
What's interesting to me is with Smash and Mario Kart, I feel like the Wii U, not too many people have it. But the people that do have it, I feel like a lot of them love it a lot. If you're into it, like me specifically, I love my Wii U. And I feel like Mario Kart and Smash are just the HD versions, like the perfect versions of these games we always wanted. But for some reason, that might feel like it's not enough. And I feel like Mario Kart's an example of that, where it's like, this is Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But why do I care?
Yeah.
See, what's interesting is I think Smash it's on my short list of things I jotted down for what I wanted Game of the Year wise, right, and where it would be from. Definitely the most fun I had multiplayer for sure. But like I feel when you bring it up and people scoff, it's just more Smash Brothers. Like, well, yeah, but Smash is awesome, and like we're talking about the best game this year. I know that sure, it looks like the last 3 iterations in this way and that way, but there's something to that, right? That's why it works.
And also all the new characters, like I'm finding myself playing with majority new characters. And that's awesome, and I love it.
Link, Blue Tunic, that's all I play.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Bowser Jr., love. Shulk, love. Charizard, who's old, but he has some new moves, like, love. It's great. Like, and I think it's really cool. And the most important thing to me is the fact that this has people that have never even played a Smash game loving it. Kevin doesn't play Smash. Loves this game. Any chance he gets to play it with us, he's like, let's do it, let's go. Alexis, in love with it. Like,
she never played before.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that them just falling in love with Smash Brothers, period, as a franchise? I mean, like, because like I remember when N64 came out and we got that and we were like, what the?
Yeah.
I mean, we went crazy for Smash.
It's just, that just shows how good the game is, though.
Sure.
Like these people that don't necessarily play every game are like, I want to play this, and will love it just as much as I do when we're playing.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. But there was a lot of other games that came out this year.
Shout out, we haven't given Mario Golf. Come on. Mario Golf. I put 85 hours into Mario Golf. Had a standing tee time at work. Participated in the online tournaments. Did everything. I mean, like.
It didn't do it for me.
That game was awesome.
Yeah, but I didn't play it.
It's not indie. You don't care.
No, it's the hardware that it's on.
Yeah.
3DS just, I don't know. Like, I just don't want to play games on it. Like, it's just the game has to be like really, really special for me to want to play it on the 3DS. It's just not a good piece of hardware to me.
I think for me it was just first off that I love Mario Golf. And I know you love Mario Golf too.
I do. I'm a huge fan of Mario Golf.
Just the fact that all of a sudden we had a crew that was ready to play Mario Golf 2, and the fact that it's what Nintendo does best, right? Local multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
Like every morning coming into work and me and Mitch sitting down and playing, and then Jose would join, somebody else would pick it up, and you know what I mean, all these different things. Or like doing the tournaments, putting them online as private, and just playing with best friends out there who want to go ahead and use the friend code and be part of that. That was awesome, let alone how solid the mechanics are. The mechanics are still Mario Golf, right? Again,
yeah, they are, but it's
back
just
to another Mario game that's just what you expect.
It just seems like a waste to me to not put it on. I was frustrated enough that there was nothing on Wii. I mean, I loved the Mario Golf on N64 and GameCube, especially GameCube. I love the GameCube one a lot. Yeah, and I think those are great games. I think that's a game made for a TV, and the Wii U needs that game. Like I think that especially when we see the way Mario Kart and Smash look. To me, I downloaded it and I was really disappointed with it because I was just like, I just don't. And it's not the game, 'cause I'm sure the game's fine.
Yeah.
It's just like I just don't. And maybe it's just because I have the original 3DS too. It's just like I just don't want to play on this. I just don't.
Dude,
especially
you need an XL.
Yeah, but we also
especially
need
next to the
$150 we have in our pocket. You know what I mean? Like that was my whole thing. Is like I'm like this is an iPad 2, right? Like I'm very much like it isn't broken, right? Like I upgraded my phone when the 5 stopped doing things it's supposed to do. It's like all right, fine. But like the 3DS does everything it should do, so the game should look good. You know what I mean? Like
you're crazy. Yeah. See, I guess I'm just so different. I want the newest iPad. I want the newest phone. I definitely want the newest 3DS.
See, the 3DS though, this is my thing, and this is my thing with Nintendo, right? Or Nintendo products is that I buy those knowing these are only going to get select use.
Yeah.
Like right now, if they launched a new Wii U with a thinner tablet with better battery and a multi-touch screen, like it should have had from the get-go, I'd still have to be like, no.
Yeah.
I only play this 3 times a year, really, with now the exception of Smash every so often. But I mean, like my PlayStation 4, right, is on every day, whether it's playing games or me watching something on Netflix or buying something off Amazon or doing whatever, right? There's something there motivating me to use it. Same thing with the Xbox One. If they're like, hey, new Xbox One, slimmer design, blah, blah. I'm like, well, no, I don't use mine that much. And when I do, it works fine. So why would I care? You know what I mean?
I agree.
That's my thing. I can't wrap my head around putting on another 150. Is that even right? 180, I think, maybe? For an XL?
XL, I think it's, 180.
So yeah, I just don't even want it because it's just like, what am I?
I want it bad. Nintendo, I want it.
No,
Send it to me.
I mean, I don't, just because it's like, I don't want things that I'm going to use just a few times. Like, I have my 3DS. When a game a few times a year comes out that I want to play, like Gunvolt or, Zelda or whatever, then I'm going to play it. But it's just one of those things where I'm fine with this little device. It hinders me from playing Smash. It hinders me from playing maybe Mario Golf, whatever. But at the same time, we've made the comparison many times before that I can't. You put the thing next to the Vita and it's like, give me a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. I've said it so many times. I know it irritates some people and I'm sorry about that, but it's just like one device is like a real electronic device and one is just
one's a toy. And I don't,
and
people, when I say that, people think I'm taking a shot at Nintendo. The Wii U and the 3DS are toys, and that's not a bad thing. I love playing with toys. I love playing with those systems, but I don't look at them as basically a computer that's plugged into my TV doing amazing things, like I do with my PS4 or Xbox One. So these are how they're pretty much interchangeable.
See, the Wii U changed that for me though. Like seeing Mario Kart and like just how beautiful it looks. And Mario 3D World, I think, was the first game that made me go, "Oh shit! Like this looks so good."
Right, and I'm not taking away from their technical prowess. I'm saying the experiences on them are akin to taking toys out of a toy box and putting them I'm putting my RC cars down and racing them against my friends and then putting them away and being done with it.
Yeah.
Whereas the PlayStation/Xbox, depending on your sway, right, is it's movies, it's TV, it's music, it's this narrative game, it's this toy box game, it's this, you know what I mean? Like, it's hand over fist different experiences. Whereas Nintendo devices are Nintendo games, which I feel are. Oh, cool! What's the story of Mario? You're not playing that. You're playing it because it's fun to do this, that, and the other. Now, Mario, of course, is probably the one where it's like, that's a game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away from it and what it does, but like the other ones are toy box games. I'm playing with toys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sounds like an insult, but I'm meaning toy in the best way. I played with toys throughout high school.
Toys.
Yeah, you sure did. I mean, before we move on, I just want to give a couple shout-outs.
We're giving a lot of shout-outs here.
Both Danganronpa games, I think, are excellent. I think that series surprised a lot of people. I think that the sales of those games certainly surprised a lot of people. The third one is coming out this year, and although it's not a core Danganronpa game, I think they will make a third real Danganronpa game. So I want to give a shout out to those. Give a shout out to Freedom Wars. I think that was a really, really fun game
another great
occupied
multiplayer game.
Yeah, it was.
Again, and that was mainly local. That was the one that the best thing about Freedom Wars was playing it with Christine at the same time. We went to Missouri, and so what we would do, because we were on vacation, is wake up, go to a nice breakfast or lunch or whatever, then go to a coffee shop and spend 3 hours at the coffee shop playing Freedom Wars local on ad hoc. And
bunch of nerds.
Great. Total nerds. We did it on the plane. When I went to PlayStation Experience, I had that little meetup, right? Like, I love those kind of games. Freedom Wars definitely scratched the itch I have had on the Vita for the longest time of, I want a world to get invested in, not have a story I have to really keep up with, and level. Just go level things up and get more powerful and take on bigger enemies. And, it's the Monster Hunter vibe, right? But in a contemporary setting, if not a little bit far-flung future, right? The fact that you're fighting giant monsters that are made of in a city and all this stuff, whereas like Monster Hunter, again, getting too high fantasy for me with your goddamn dragons. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, and I think that the final game that I would want to mention. Well, I mean, there's a lot of good games that I played this year that I really enjoyed, but Valiant Hearts, I think, is
you're still on my list, but yes.
Valiant Hearts is a special game, and I'm surprised people didn't like it more. But World War I is an interesting thing to cover from a narrative standpoint because it's such a brutal and bloody war and really a pointless war.
Right.
And it was a war that was really the transition between not antiquity, but kind of more of a Victorian kind of feel to war to a more industrial type war. And so it really took a lot of lives in very violent ways, such as gassing and stuff like that. So it was just, it explored all those interesting things. And as a history guy, as an historian, I guess, technically, according to my diploma, technically.
No big deal. You just went to college.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm not a practicing historian or whatever, but it's just like, I like, World War II is overwrought, Vietnam's overwrought. Korea, we could use more games about Korea, but no one touches World War I because it's, how do you do it?
Yeah.
And these guys figured out a way to do it. So, because it's just trench warfare.
Right.
The line never moves. There's a lot of conflict in the beginning and then just a bunch of stagnation for years, and then they basically end.
Well, that was what was so great about Valiant Hearts is getting out, introducing all these characters, separating them on different sides of the conflict or whatever, and making you care about all of them, and having that great narration. Like, it was funny, like, I remember when the E3 trailer dropped, right, getting teared up watching it, and then not even the first time putting it all together that it was the dog talking, you know what I mean? And then at the end when I did, really getting choked up. And then to play that game and have that moment, like that stretched out the entire game, where I cared, I was on the edge of my seat about what's going to happen to these people. And you're doing like cutesy, goofy puzzles, but you're doing it through like, all right, there's this gas that's released that's killing everybody. How do you get through it? And there's all these bombs in the way, like you got to get through. And all along the way, picking things up and like immediately wanting to jump out and see what the little history lesson was on it. Like I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, let alone how good the story was. Let alone how touching the attacks. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Game's beautiful too. Yeah. Such another one I want them to bring to Vita just so I have an excuse to replay it.
Guys, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments or wherever the hell you are watching or listening to this content.
Just scream at
if you're listening to it on Bandcamp, then just scream out where you are.
Yeah, just scream at us.
Now, I know you want to end it.
What?
I know you're trying to end it. You're trying to segue out of this already?
No, the topic? Oh, yeah.
Not the show. The show is one topic. I want to say...
You got more.
And again, these are just... Now we're just giving shout-outs here. I'm not saying game of the
games that came out in 2014. Destiny.
Yes! That's what I wanted to throw out is Destiny. That, again, for all of its problems, and I think so much fun to play. Another game that I've had so much fun playing. It's the perfect game for streaming when I get to stream that and have somebody in the group and do all these different things. And it's basically why I love Freedom Wars on the PS4, right? I don't have to think about the story. I'm leveling up. I'm making progress. It's like DC Universe Online in the same way, right? I'm doing all, except I love everything about DC Universe Online. But you're going through doing all these different things, building something. I also want to say Child of Light is overrated.
You're crazy.
Damn.
We'll leave that for another day. You're out of your mind.
Rolling that one out there.
You're out of
your
mind.
Ground Zeroes come out this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that. Definitely not game of the year.
But your shout-outs material.
Favorite 2 hours of the year? Yeah, maybe.
Your favorite 2 hours of the year?
2 hours. I mean, I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I didn't think I was going to enjoy it that much.
Here's my problem with Ground Zeroes is that, and it's something when we talk about quitting IGN and when we're going to have all this free time, we're going to stream all the time, I've kicked around the idea of trying to become the world's best Metal Gear Solid player again. Because I feel like in college with Metal Gear Solid 2, I was. And I had everything, and I walked Poe through on the phone and stuff. The problem I had with Ground Zeroes was, and this is after Peace Walker being my favorite game of last generation, is that I felt so... I wasn't empowered. I wasn't Snake. I was a bumbling idiot, I felt like, in so many things. Because there was so much going on that I was getting... Like, somebody across the thing is seeing me, and I'm like, mother... What was I supposed to do? You know what I mean? And then when I get through the story, which is one of those things where I felt like I got shot a million times and I'm just like trying to get to the exit, like I'm all bloody. When I get out and I go back into the missions, some of those missions, I just get dropped down and it's like, I don't want to go. Games have gotten so good, and maybe it's hand-holding, at making you feel powerful from the get-go. You're totally on point, and it's not easy, but like, not to the point where some of those missions, I don't want to fail 50 times to on the 51st time be like, oh, this is how I do the first part without getting found out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to get through the mission perfectly after a few, not a few tries, maybe a dozen, but feel like I'm making that progress. Whereas with Metal Gear, it would just be like, the AI is so good, there's so many things happening, there's so many different people in sight lines that I'd start it and like spend like 5 minutes, like, all right, I've tagged everybody, now oh, god damn it, this guy got me.
See, for me, there was so many moments that I was like, oh man, it'd be really cool if I could do this. And I'm like, oh wait, I can. Yeah. And that was crazy. It's like, I'm going to climb on there and then jump off this. And GTA had a very similar thing last year, where it's just like, holy crap, literally anything you want to do in this game.
You can do it. Yeah.
And in Ground Zeroes, it was fun for me. Like, I just can't wait for Phantom Pain because I'm like, wow, like a whole game of that is going to be awesome.
And see, that's what I'm saying, is like, I think that if I put in the work, and I sit down and I go through Ground Zeroes and stream it probably and do all these different things. By the time Phantom Pain comes, I won't be dropped in and feel like, well, what am I doing? Like, I'll know, AI a bit more and know where to go with this. How to
You're not wearing a chicken hat.
I'm not wearing a chicken hat.
Yeah, you know about the chicken hat?
Yeah, I know about the chicken hat.
I'm going to wear a chicken hat.
You're going to wear a chicken hat?
No, not at all. Anyways, we've talked about 2014. Now, 2015.
Yeah.
What games are you guys looking forward to the most?
My most anticipated game is Mighty Number 9, I think, and Inafune is a master. Keiji Inafune is a master game designer. Mega Man obviously was his brainchild, and that's my obsession, of course, in games. But the classic Mega Man stuff, of course. But he is responsible for other games too that I don't think people give him credit for. Onimusha, Dead Rising.
I love Onimusha.
And he has just incredible chops. So it's like Mighty Number 9, and I played it, is a continuation of Mega Man that's different. I think people are going to be surprised by how different it is.
You were surprised,
and I was surprised by it too. But it's got a different rhythm to it. It's got a different rhythm to it. It's got a different beat to it. Like Mega Man is about people like watching me play Mega Man, the old ones, because I'm really good at them. But I like playing Mega Man 9 and 10, and again, I can kind of recollect those more because, at least right now, because since the first time since I was a kid, you have to brute force your way through those games and then figure it out and then go about your business, so that it becomes muscle memory, just like Mega Man 3 is for me today. And I remember people watch me play Mega Man, and they're like, well, why aren't you being a little more finesse with Mega Man 9 and 10? I'm like, that's not how you play the game. Like, I'm going to figure out how to do this, and then I'm going to get better and better and better at it until I can do it with my eyes closed. And then I beat Mega Man 10 in like 24 minutes. You know, so it was like, you know, that's the way you get there. With Mega Man, or with Mighty Number 9, the game's about points and about kind of like skill and finesse. And that was what surprised me about it. It's about how quickly you can kill enemies and like how much you can chain them together and stuff. So it's Mega Man in the sense that the mighty numbers are robot masters, and they all have like different stages, and their weaknesses can be used on, you know, okay, that's great, but they're not Mega Man games. And that's why I'm most excited about it. I actually got more excited about when I played 4, because I was like, leave the classic stuff to Indie Creates and Capcom. They're going to make another Mega Man game. I'm sure they're going to make another one at some point, Mega Man 11 or X9 or whatever. And they'll do great. Indie Creates did a great job with 9 and 10. And I'm really hoping that happens soon. This is an evolution with Inafune having enough time to think about something else to do with Mega Man and use that cachet that he built with Mega Man to make a new game. And so I think Mighty Number 9 is going to be fucking awesome. Yeah. And I'm really, really excited about it, especially on Vita. I think it's going to be right.
Yeah, wait, what systems is it coming out?
It's on everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Kickstarter, yo.
Oh, man.
It's gonna be on everything. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'll be on 3DS and Wii U. Maybe those are the only ones I think it won't be on. It's on PC. I think Xbox 360, N1, PS3, and PS4, Vita. So you'll be able to play it almost anywhere. But oh man, I'm so excited about that game, and I think we're gonna see if he still has it, and I think he does. Soul Sacrifice is another example. Like he has these different ideas that meld different things he's done. Soul Sacrifice in a way with its bloody kind of, you know, aesthetic and kind of narrative is kind of a tie in, not literally, but you can kind of see where he got from Onimusha. You know, so it's like I like looking at things like that, and I think that, you know, he's brilliant, and he's totally counterculture in Japan, which is funny as hell to me too. So so that would be my most anticipated game.
I thought long and hard on this, and I go back and forth between 1 game and 2 games. 1 game, 2 game. Is it A or B? 1 or 2? If I was going backwards, is it Z or the letter that comes before Z? Nobody knows. I'm going to say Batman Arkham Knight.
I think Y is the letter that comes before Z.
Yeah, I have to check. I have to sing the song. I got to sing the song to get there. That's unproven. Batman Arkham Knight. Obviously, I'm a huge DC comic book nerd. I loved all the other Batman games, and the fact that it's Rocksteady, it's a next-gen own. Like, this is the thing we kept talking about this year specifically, right, with PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, when we were waiting for that pendulum to swing, right, of like, when is it really going to be?
When are we giving up on last gen?
Exactly, and like a lot of people looked at Shadow of Mordor as being the first like true, this is a next-gen game, but there was a last-gen version of it. But even that, like it's one of those things. All the games that come out right away. Even when, like now, I think, at least I'd like to believe, when we're playing them as adults, like we can still see that this is still
early.
Your first swing. This is your first, you know, at bat kind of thing, right? Infamous Second Son, great game, really dug it, right? But are there parts of it that I was looking back, especially where it's like that didn't really feel like this huge step forward? Like it looked beautiful.
The other 2 Infamous games are better than Infamous Second Son.
Exactly, right? And so Arkham Knight being that first thing of this is what it is. We've been doing this forever. We're rock steady, right? We know what we're doing with this franchise and gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
That has me excited. Like the Batmobile stuff, it actually turns me off a little bit to it, right? Because he's using guns a lot and, you know, breaking things in the city. It's like, whatever. I can wrap my head around it. He's got to do what he's got to do. But in general, just Kevin Conroy being back, they keep talking about it being the finale of all this, which means it's got to have some tie into what happened with the Joker and everything in Batman Arkham City, right? Let alone Arkham Origins and all these different things. I just love that world and I love that universe. My prediction still stands that it's going to have Superman and Wonder Woman in it to set up the Justice League game from them later on, or whoever else does it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but that's the game that stands out right now that I want so much more of, because each one of those games is like a giant extended animated series, right? Like an episode of the animated series. And so to get back in there, to have more of it, everything we've seen looks great. It's, you know, the fidelity of it, the quality of it, and how much I trust those guys.
Yeah.
That's what gets me excited about that
It's interesting to me that you mentioned Origins, which I didn't play.
Yeah.
But they implicitly don't acknowledge that game at
Right,
Rocksteady. So like I'm just saying, like, I thought I just throwing it out there that I found that interesting. At PSX, they were like, this is the conclusion of the Batman trilogy.
Right.
And I was like, wow. Like you guys are going to straight up just ignore that game.
I mean, you figure it's very much the relationship, I imagine. Well, I don't want to, it's a development studio that feels like they created this, but they're owned or whatever, right? Or they're working with somebody else's property.
Yeah.
So WB Montreal did get to make Origins, and I'm sure I've never talked to them about it. I don't know anything about it. I'm not close enough to anybody over there to get like off the record scoops. I'd imagine there's a bit of a chip on the shoulder about that, right? Like anytime anybody's property goes to somewhere else, the original creators look at it, I'm sure, like, well, this was an interesting choice. We've talked to plenty of people who've had their games like this, right? Like, we went over there and we're like, why does this happen? Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, especially all that. And Origins, I stand by, got a really bad rap. It got a really bad rap. It had some PC problems, people falling through the world, yada, yada, yada. Amazing story. Like, one of the best Joker stories I think I've ever been told, period. Like, doesn't matter what medium. Like, there was so much amazing stuff to it, but it was very much the problem anybody ever has with those games is like, this doesn't feel right. Well, clearly it's because the original didn't do it, right? I remember telling them when I met them, the Origins people, you are going up a hill you're never going to get to the top of, right? You forever, no matter what people are going to say, this is good, but it would have been better. Like Mega Man, right? When it's not an Inafune Mega Man, it's like, well, this is good, but it would have been better if this, that, you know what I mean? You nickel and dime when you know the creator isn't there, right? And that sucks. But it was good, but yeah, I totally get why. I'm sure Rocksteady's pushing the fact this is.
I just thought that was funny because that seemed to be like a like
shot across the bow.
So,
what's your second one?
My second one's Uncharted 4.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
demo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you fucking seeing this entire PlayStation experience? Colin elbowing me and talking to me as we watch this amazing demo. But yeah, I mean, like,
it's gonna
that
be
game
so
looks, and it's one of those things like. It's like such a of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we always talk about, right? When we like to podcast or champion games, we're usually championing something on the Vita or something else that you don't know about.
Yeah.
You know Uncharted, and like granted, Batman you've never heard, you had no idea that was going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
But like Uncharted 4 is like, well, no shit, that's going to be amazing, I'm sure.
But that's the thing; it's going to be next level amazing.
I hope so.
You can already tell, man. I'm feeling really
that whole set piece and the way they. That's why I kept elbowing Greg and stuff because I was like, this is different. This is a different Uncharted game. There was something very unique about that sequence, and I don't know if that sequence is going to be indicative of the entire, hopefully 12 to 15-hour experience that we get out of that game. And we know the characters are there, and we know that the story is going to be there. Yeah, depending on how thorough you are. I like to walk in every corner looking for treasures. But that particular, what I was telling people on Twitter was. Yeah, the game's beautiful. Yeah, Nolan North's great. All the voice acting is awesome. The gunplay looks great. What people were ignoring about that demo was the design of that demo and how awesome the design was. And I'm not even talking about the art. I'm talking about the way the sequence was designed. I think people look at game design as something that doesn't happen. The way that everything is and positioned in that whole sequence in the woods is awesome. And if they have put that much thought into that sequence, and obviously we think about The Last of Us. When The Last of Us was revealed, we saw that part in the building where they're walking through like the abandoned apartment building and they're killing everyone. And it was like and that ended up being one of the best parts of The Last of Us, in my opinion, in terms of gameplay. Right. So maybe this is the same thing where there's gonna be some lows and some highs, obviously, but. I was like, wow, this is good. This is what you get when you give them a little more time.
And this is what I walked away and talked about, ad nauseum, right? Is the fact that. It's them upping what you already know about Uncharted. And so what you're talking about is like maybe it's not like that all the time. I think enough mechanics are there to show you that that's going to be the way it's going to be. Because I kept talking about the fact that there's no moments of rest. It's all action. It used to be you pulled the guy off the cliff and watched him fall, and now you pull the guy off the cliff and then maybe he grabs onto you and you suddenly have to tap. You know what I mean? You go to choke out a guy, and used to be just wrestle him to the ground. Now maybe he pulls his gun out and you have to try to like shoot it away from you. And I'm imagining you're going to be able to go out and shoot other people with that and stuff like that. Let alone the fact of, okay, now stealth makes more sense. Before it was always like stick to the wall and kind of glide around. Now there's bushes to get lost in, blah, blah. Enemies will go, once, it used to be, we talk about this all the time, right? They don't know you're there, they're on alert, and they are on alert until you kill them. They are not letting down their guard. Whereas now it was like, all right, he got away, and they went back to being normal and patrolling so you could get back in a rhythm of taking them out and doing whatever you need to do. That was awesome.
Yeah. See, to me, the biggest moment of that demo was the rope. When you like jumped off and got the rope.
His new little hook.
Yeah, and it's like, I wonder how many moments we're going to get like that. Because that's the thing where it's like, that was so perfect. where he hit that guy, and it's like, is that like a quick time event type thing, or like was he actually controlling that a bit, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be very interested to see what they add like that throughout the entire game.
Sure.
We've been tricked enough in the past about what games were supposed to be based on demo impressions, not playable demos necessarily, but you think about Killzone 2 with Guerrilla, you think about which was funny in hindsight that we thought that the game was going to look like that. We think about even God of War ended up being a little more quick timing than people wanted it. I think that I'm not going on a limb at all. I mean, I've said it many times. Naughty Dog's the best developer in the entire world.
Exactly.
And so like the minds and the brains at that studio, even without Amy Hennig being there to monitor it, you assume she planted enough seeds for the story to be okay and the characters to be okay. And with Neil and Bruce, who were responsible largely for Uncharted 2, which is a lot of people's favorite, not ours, but a lot of people's favorite, and then The Last of Us. So like, if it's 90% as good as The Last of Us, you have yourself arguably another 10.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not so worried about Uncharted 4. Like and that's the thing you were saying. Like, it's my most anticipated AAA game, bar none. But we know that. It was the same way we felt about The Last of Us when it was like, we wrote about it, we cared about it, but it's like, eventually it's like, yeah, we get it. Like, we're going to be excited about it, let's talk about something else. And so that's why I'm not like, friggin' banging the gong for this game.
What game are you banging the
Kingdom
gong
Hearts 3.
Now
here's my problem. Is it going to be 2015?
No, there's no way in God's green earth.
No way in freaking hell. And that's the upsetting
Oh, there's
part.
no way, man.
But yeah, man, I want that game so bad, and like I feel like 2015 would be a good time for it.
I think you're stretching it. Even think you're getting in 2016.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of the, as far as I understand, all right. So let's put all the pieces together, right?
Yeah.
Let's unpack it.
The Final Fantasy 15. When I was in Japan and I saw it behind closed doors before they revealed that trailer, we saw it for the first time. I was like, well, these guys driving a car. That's interesting. And they were like, we're 55% done with the game. The leadership team that's doing Final Fantasy 15 is also doing Kingdom Hearts 3. They're not presumably going to be able to give all their attention to one until they're done with the other, even though some of those guys I think are segueing now to the Kingdom Hearts team as this year progresses. If Final Fantasy 15 is 55% done, I don't even think that game's coming out this year. Yeah. And so it just kicks every can down the road. And so I really do think that you're going to see 15 spring 2016, and I think you're going to see Kingdom Hearts maybe literally as late maybe as holiday 2017. I think that game is I think that game's far away. I hope I'm wrong because I know how much people want it. Yeah. And I know that they tried to set the rhythm with the Kingdom Hearts re-releases and stuff like that, but we've not seen anything to indicate that game's anywhere.
Yeah. Well,
that's
I feel you on that, and I think unfortunately I do think that you're correct about a lot of that. And it sucks because I've said this before in many places that Final Fantasy Versus 13 is the reason I bought a PS3. Well, that didn't work out for me too well at all. And now Final Fantasy, now that it's 15, I'm really excited for that, but the hype is kind of gone for me just because
it's gone for a lot of people.
It's been way too long.
They have to prove. The thing about Final Fantasy, the thing about Square is that they have a lot to prove. I'm not a company that's going to take them at their word with their AAA releases in the Final Fantasy series anymore. Not after 13. No way. And not even, I didn't like 12. 12 is basically 2 games mashed together. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's so you have something to prove to me. Now I'm excited. I'm excited in the sense that Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy Tactics, these are some of my favorite games. Yeah. And Square used to be just untouchable in quality, but they're not anymore. And so I'm more interested in 15 to see how it is than even playing it. I'd rather if I can obviously I can do both, but if someone's you can either play the game or someone can tell you immediately if it's good or bad, and you can just get this suspense over with, I'd be I just want to know. Because I just want to know what trajectory they're going on. Yeah. As opposed to so especially after 13 where I was oh, this game, man. Yeah.
I just remember I remember when the trailers first came out they launched the trailer for both of them, 13 and Versus 13. And I remember being oh, 13 looks cool, but Versus 13, that's what I want. Yeah. I want that game. And then
and it's somewhere in there. I mean, it's somewhere exactly. When they rebuilt it. It's the same thing with The Last Guardian. The Last Guardian exists, and it's clearly a PS4 game, and somewhere within the DNA of that game on PS4 is the original game.
The original bird, dog, cat, dog.
Yeah. So I think but yeah, Kingdom Hearts. When people say that, I'm I hope you're right, but I think that game is far away.
Exactly. But the thing is, though, we've seen some gameplay of it, and granted, it's not real gameplay probably, and it's just just specific moments.
Yeah, it could be an engine mock-up or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it is. But it's it just looks so good, and it's been so long since we've gotten an actual canon entry in the series that's numbered. None of this freaking I'm dreaming about stuff, and this is real, and that's so exciting to me, and just the idea of all the different worlds we can go to now, in addition to all the classic Disney stuff, which obviously I love. Like Frozen. Now we get to go to Frozen. Come on, guys.
Are you really gonna go to Frozen? Is that announced?
It's not announced, but like
You presume it's got to be in
they're
there.
going to go.
Just checking. Everybody.
But yeah, Marvel and Star Wars, right, are really the bigger things.
And like that's I don't know if they're bigger. Nothing's bigger than Frozen.
But I mean, in terms of like, it might be the reason why the game was kind of like just, it's in development and here's a trailer and we don't really have much to say about it. They might be working this shit out too, which is why maybe it's really going to be a late release too, you know?
Yeah.
Because it would be awesome if you could really explore those worlds. Like,
And it'd be shocking if you couldn't, you know? And I hope that there is a Star Wars world and a Marvel world. I don't need to see like specific Marvel universes. When just one Marvel universe would be super awesome.
Yeah, you go to the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it'd be so good. But yeah, I'm worried that that's not going to come out. But yeah, Uncharted. But Metal Gear is the other one for me.
Yeah, that's a big one. Phantom Pain will come out this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm interested to see how that is too, because I've not been smitten with that series in a long time, and so Metal Gear, second one's my favorite one, and I really like Metal Gear Solid, the original as well. But 3, I never beat. I was just like, I'm not really into this. And 4, I played it for like, longer than I should have, and I was like, I just can't do it. I know you love those games. 4. To me, they just didn't scratch that itch. So again, with Phantom Pain, I always get excited when Kojima does something. I was excited when 3 was announced. I was excited when 4 was announced. But I'm just like, again, it's a wait and see kind of thing where I'm like, I want to see what this game is, and I think that he's had enough time to marinate on it. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Peace Walker was obviously released in between 4 and 5, but it's been a long time since he's really had a chance to figure things out again. And I think that you like 4, and I think a lot of people do like 4, but I also think that a lot of people look at 4 as not really what they want out of Metal Gear.
Exactly, and I totally get that. It is just, here's a bunch more story to kind of tie everything together for the people that want that, which I did, even if it doesn't make any sense. Exactly. But like, I liked the gameplay. It was action focused, and that was fun for me. Like I liked that a lot. Whereas 3 is an amazing game. Doesn't click with me. It's just not my thing. The story is so good, but there was a little too much focus on the actual stealth and all the camo stuff. And
that was the thing. Immediately, I always tell the story about it. When I started playing 3, I was like really excited, and because I really did love 2, and I especially love Big Shell in 2. I know it's like so like there was something special about that game. And so when I started playing 3. And I was going through my inventory, and I'm like, there's like my rations are like getting
mealworms,
depleted, and then I have all this camo, and I'm like, I don't want to micromanage. Metal Gear Solid games are about micromanagement, but not to this level? Extent. And I was immediately turned off for it, And as I went through the game, I just didn't. The villains are okay, but I was. The special thing about, especially the first one, and I think the second one does it well too, because I really love Fat Man, as we always joke about, is like the cartoon villains. Yeah. Like I need more cartoon villains, like guys that are just like so over the top that they're like they look like they're out of an 80s action movie. Like that was what we really need.
Yeah,
so I want to see.
Looks like it's bringing that back.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it does.
The trailers are so ridiculous.
Got a little psycho whale there. You got a mind whale coming in to get you.
Why not?
So awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna play it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I want to give another shout out to. I think it's on your list. Let me see. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. Hotline Miami 2.
Hotline Miami 2.
Supposed to come out this year, or it was supposed to come out in 2014. It didn't. I guess they had to, fix some things, whatever. First of all, one of the creators of Hotline Miami 2, I've met many times, has a Mega Man 3 tattoo, which is awesome because that's his favorite game of all time.
Yeah. What does that mean? What does the Mega Man 3?
It's the password grid for how to get to Wily's castle, which is brilliant. And Hotline Miami was a really weird game, and one of the weirdest games I've ever played in my life. Bloody yet poignant, like story-driven yet basic. Like it was a lot of contradictions in that game, and obviously the aesthetic of being in the 80s is really awesome too. The music and the sounds and the color palette. And Hotline Miami 2 is just more of that. And
plus the level building.
Yeah, exactly. And the level builder is what I've actually spent the most time with, and it's really cool. Like I think that Hotline Miami is most at home with analog sticks. I understand people want to play it on PC. That's why I was a little late to it, because I couldn't play it on PC. I was like, I can't play this game.
That was a huge hurdle.
Once it came to Vita and PS3, I was like, well, I'm in on this. And even though it's hard for me to explain why I'm like super excited about it, in the sense of like, why would I have this like kind of visceral fucking feeling about Hotline Miami 2 when there's like all these other games coming out. It's just the fact of the matter is I just want more Hotline Miami, and like I just want to spend another week with that game, man.
That's the thing people get lost in when they see it. Like, oh, it's too violent, it's too this, and it's not even. It is violent, right, in a very cartoony way, but it's more of like what works for me and why I love it so much, and why I was a Vita player. That's where I played it for Game of the Year on PC, great. But being able to do it, it's so built for handhelds and being on the go. And the fact that like, all right, you have 2 minutes. Here's this one. Try to solve this puzzle.
Yeah.
And the puzzle of how to kill everybody and get through and get out. And you know what I mean? Like The story, I have no idea what the hell happened. I beat Hotline Miami. It was all a dream. I don't even know what the hell's happening. But like the challenge of doing it, and now the fact of like, you better bet your bottom dollar I'll be making the game over Greggy's set in like our whole house, and like there'll be a level where Nick's patrolling, or who you just assume is Nick or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
He's patrolling. That's what he does.
And Portillo's little dog running around trying to stop you and stuff. Like like that's what it's all about, is those little challenges and those little gameplay.
I agree. I'm excited to tell about it, and just want to give one more shout out.
There's a lot of shout outs I have to give, so you can.
Well, I'm excited about Helldivers. I'm excited about the new Stardust, Cosmic Star Heroine. But the game I really want to talk about just for a minute is, and I'm excited about the Order too, to be honest. Is Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
Oh right.
I think that game looks extraordinary. And they're a bit of a ways off. I'm not sure that it's coming out this year.
Yeah.
If it does, like, I think that they are about halfway done with it. So I don't know if it's going to come out this year. My assumption is that they're going to try. Santa Monica's helping them build it. It's a PS4 exclusive, and it's just such a cool idea for a game. And for people out there who don't know what it's about, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. It's very literal. It's about the rapture happening and people disappearing, and you're in this British town by yourself, going through people's houses and through their belongings, and going like in and out of buildings and all this, and just exploring at your own leisure, trying to just figure out what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. And we've talked about this before. This is the kind of game that Sony gives indies the ability to make. This isn't a game that's going to sell 1 million copies. This isn't a game that's going to get a Game Informer cover or limited commercial accolades. It's just a game that is, I saw it at E3 last year behind closed doors, and knowing some of the people from Santa Monica that are working on it, like Deb Mars, that are helping with this game, it's like there's every reason to be confident in it. And so, as far as like adventure games or kind of more cerebral, Gone Home type games, I think that is the one to keep an eye on.
This is exactly how I feel about Firewatch.
Yeah.
Firewatch from Capo Santo, right? Of just like, you're out there in the woods and you can choose what you're interacting with and exploring with, and you're heading towards this like fire to see what the hell's going on. You have one other person to communicate with, a walkie-talkie, and from what they've shown, there's something going on. Like, you're a guy and she's a girl, and there's something that's been going on there, but like, how is that going to play out? What the hell's happening in the forest and all these different things? Like, that's exciting. I love those games.
That's the type of game that, like, when you look at that, it interests me.
Right.
I'm just like, I don't know what genre this is. I want to play it, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care that this isn't my type of game. This looks fun. Like, Journey is another example of that for me, where I was just like, I don't know what the hell this is.
I hate
but
scarf
I was like,
people.
I'm going to like this, though. And I did. I liked it a lot. And,
Yeah.
like, I feel the same way about Firewatch.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I mean, coming off of being such a Gone Home fan, like that's why I'm excited about it. Let alone all the other stuff that's coming out in that vein, right? Like, I mean, Fulbright's already shown their next game as far like the space thing. Is that 2015? Who knows? But excited about that.
Yeah.
Similar thing of exploring, right? No Man's Sky. We haven't talked about that, but however the hell that game is going to come together. Another game that I don't hold my breath for in 2015, but you know what I mean? Like, it's an upcoming one. Put it on the map there. What else do I have here on my list here? Witcher 3. If we didn't say something about Witcher 3, we'd be stupid. Here, the thing about Witcher 3 is like I don't like the high fantasy, except for like Skyrim got me, right. Oh no! What I'm 38 Studios' game. What do I think?
Amalur.
Amalur. That was another one that got me. Everything I see from The Witcher gets me, and I don't like Dragon Age. Like, Dragon Age just it doesn't work for me. But the action, the combat, and the visuals of Witcher 3 make me think.
Witcher looks deep.
Yeah,
that's the word I think about when I see that game. I'm like, that game's deep.
Yeah.
Like, and again, they got a lot more time to work on it too. Only good things can come from that.
And then Persona 5, another shout out.
Yeah, still wondering if that's really gonna come out this year.
Sure. I hold that hope.
They have the Persona team can just do whatever they want. So it's just like, they have carte blanche. Remember, they have not made a game since Catherine. So like they have had a while to make this game. I think they know that they have to deliver. Persona 5.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just the way like the general PlayStation audience has woken up to Persona, right? Like, I remember Persona 3 hitting on PlayStation 2. It was right around the time I just started IGN or whatever, 2007 or whatever. Jeff was reviewing it and playing it, and be like, this is awesome. And then Persona 4, and then so it's Persona 3 coming to PSP and all these different things.
Yeah.
All these things that weren't making giant waves, and then now with Vita, it seems like everyone who's a PlayStation fan and listens to us knows about Persona and now is into it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm really excited for Ori and the Blind Forest.
Right.
Another beautiful game. I'm a big fan of beautiful games.
Yeah.
So that one's definitely.
That's the same way I feel for Below.
You've
seen Below, right?
Yeah.
Coming off the shore, going in and trying to get further than the last person to go down there and do this different thing. Same thing with Massive Chalice as well. Like, that's the one I was telling you about. That's like like Final Fantasy Tactics, right? Like, go out, do this, time is passing, you have to marry off your people so they breed the next generation of warrior you can go use. You're picking up their attributes as they go, so like people can have like not deformities but deficiencies if you weren't paying attention to how you're breeding people, which is weird to talk about breeding people, but it's awesome. It's an awesome gameplay mechanic
super cool.
of trying to keep your keep alive for 500 years.
What was that game that was shown at PSX? I'm not sure if it's already out on PC and stuff, but there was a Forest and like
The Forest, isn't that what
it's
it's
just
called?
called The Forest?
Yeah.
That game looks
that's
awesome.
Out, yeah.
It's already out on PC.
On PC it is.
Yeah. I got reprimanded by the PC crowd when I was like, "This game looks great." Look, it's already.
The game really does look awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
cool.
I don't know. I've never looked into it beyond that particular trailer.
Yeah.
Seems to me that it's basically horde mode, and I mean, this is my interpretation of why I got excited about it. That it's horde mode in a forest, and you have like X amount of time to build reinforcements, and then it gets nighttime or whatever, and then everyone attacks you.
Yeah.
I mean, that seemed.
And it's cool. It's like using
What
actual
it is.
Forest stuff.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Using actual forest stuff.
Yeah, video games get all crazy and it's just like, horde mode, and you
Now you
got
got a
like
robot
these, like,
tree.
Yeah, no, it's like, no, just trees. I like that.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Gotta go Nintendo here. Zelda.
Of course.
Will it come in 2015?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Star Fox? I doubt it. I really, really, really hope so. We're definitely getting Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah.
And I don't think many people are that excited.
Big old Yosh.
But man, Yoshi, the Yoshi games, I love them so much because they're different than the Mario platformers. And Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island is one of my favorite games of all time. I think the level design in that is just impeccable. And Yoshi's Island on the DS, not so good. Yoshi's Island on the 3DS, really not so good. But this one, I'm holding out my thoughts on it. I want it to be good.
Yeah.
I want it to be amazing. And Nintendo's been doing really good lately. Captain Toad, awesome.
Captain Toad
Super
is
fun.
fantastic. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking out for that.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do we got? There was one more. Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront.
Do we know that that's this year? We haven't even.
Do we think it's this year?
I don't think so.
I
we haven't
don't
seen it
know.
at
Yeah,
all,
all
except
we
for
saw was
the
that
except for the
teaser
ad.
trailer. Yeah, the teaser trailer. But yeah, and like, that's enough to get us excited, right?
Yeah.
That's the one that Amy's working on now with Todd. Is that right?
No, I
It's a
mean she's
different
working
Star
on a
Wars
different
game?
Star Wars.
I
game,
can't keep up with them.
Presumably, yeah. I don't think she's announced what Star Wars game she's
okay.
working on, but Battlefront was in
Again, I don't
development
know
when
any
she was working on Uncharted 4, so you assume she wants to write her own game.
Yeah.
This perfectly leads us. What are our predictions for 2015 for video games?
One of my predictions was that I wrote it down here. Zelda is delayed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that game comes out this year. I think, and it's not a commentary on Nintendo. I think that they've shown the propensity many times with many games to say like it's just not ready and we're not releasing it. If you look at the timing of how they've rolled that game out and what we've seen of that game over time, we really saw a nice big chunk of it in December. It just doesn't seem like the game's. It seems like the game's ready if that's like what you're looking at or whatever. But I just feel like there's something within the timing and how they've rolled it out to say that like 2015 holiday 2015 is kind of cutting it close.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the fact that we saw gameplay on a TV in the background. I mean,
Right, they wouldn't
classic
full screen it.
Nintendo,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that says a lot. You
Yeah,
know?
I agree. So I think that game's delayed. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I think that game's probably Q1 or Q2 2016. So that was one of my predictions.
My prediction is similar. I don't think Uncharted 4 hits. And this
Oh,
is
really?
something. This is something that I've been predicting since all the hubbub began. Right, of like people were leaving the project. This is happening. Blah blah. Obviously, then Amy leaving. Yada yada yada. Throughout those podcast beyonds, I was saying this won't hit next year. This won't hit next year. This won't hit next year. And then at E3, they're like it hits next year. And Shuhei was on Beyond, and I was like, well, I guess you know how I feel about this prediction. He just laughed about it, right? And I still stand by. I don't think it's that they're doing like the Batman Arkham Knight bullshit where it's like it's coming out this year and then they're like, oh, actually it's delayed an entire not even a few months. It's June now.
Yeah,
You know what I
like,
mean?
yeah.
Like, okay, you knew you were never gonna make it. I think they can hit it, but I think it's gonna be a Last of Us situation where they're gonna get up to the wire and be like, we had to redo so much stuff from when Amy left, when this happened, when this guy left. You know, obviously you bring in new people, the project changes a bit. Otherwise, it's just a patchwork, and that's not what Naughty Dog's about.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna get close to the finish line and be like, it needs more time, and it's gonna get bumped out. That's my prediction. Just as tumultuous as that was last year. Yeah. It's weird to think now that 2014's last year.
Yeah,
but as weird as that was, that first part of the year for them, losing so many people, all these different things. Now, granted, every Uncharted prediction I've done has been wrong, right? Every time you're like, it's going to be shown at E3 or whatever, whenever the first trailer was, it's like, I don't think so. It's too early. They had to redo all this stuff. Here's the trailer. You know what I mean? Like, we go to PSX, like, are they going to be, what are they going to show? Probably just a sizzle reel. Here's a freaking huge huge demo, huge dump of information.
Yes.
A raw dump, as some would say.
The raw dump.
Yeah, the old raw dump. All that data.
I love raw dumps.
I think there's gonna be a lot of delays. And that worries me. And I feel like we saw a lot of delays this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's called the spring now.
Yeah. Damn. And I'm worried that a lot of the games that even don't have release dates, so I guess they're not delays, but let me rephrase this. The games that I want to come out in 2015 that I want to soon, like in the next couple months, be announced that yes, they're coming in fall, like Kingdom Hearts and like Battlefront, stuff like that. That's just not going to happen at all. Yeah. And that's upsetting. I don't like that. Like I want something to look forward to that's like that big, meaty experience that I want. And I'm worried about that.
You're worried about that. Yeah. There's going to be plenty of other games.
Yeah. Like Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yoshi's Woolly World.
Second prediction here, Year of the Yosh.
Year of the Yosh!
I made this prediction last year. It didn't happen.
Yeah?
Now's his time. Luigi had his time to shine, and that went really well for him. They gave him even a little bit more. Yeah,
that went really well for Luigi.
Like, he's the biggest deal in the world.
Nobody gave a flying fuck about the year of Luigi.
But now he's not. It's because he's not the Yosh. I'm telling you, you're the Yosh.
Are you prepared for Yoshi's epic yarn to be as disappointing as Kirby's epic yarn? Where it comes out and it's super short and super easy and everybody's like, God damn it.
Never. Nintendo would never do that.
Yeah, never. They'd never do that to you again.
Second prediction. Insomniac stays in bed with Microsoft, and they announce Sunset Overdrive 2 at some point this year.
Wow.
Now, here's a few interesting wrinkles about this. Number one, Insomniac's...
If you've ever done a prediction episode with Colin, he's now going to give you 15 things so that he can at least get 4 of 15 points. And have a...
No, I'm just going to say how I got to this point.
Kind
of Insomniac's an independent developer. They aren't owned by anyone, except for Ted Price and his crew or whatever. They are making a PlayStation exclusive right now. Ratchet & Clank reboot for PS4. That doesn't make... And the movie obviously is coming out, I think, this year too. They have like their little, smaller games initiative. They did, what was that game, Outer Knots or something like that?
That like came and went without a goddamn word.
And they're trying different things or whatever. So I'm not saying that they're not going to make third-party games like Fuse anymore, and I'm not going to say that they're not going to make PlayStation exclusive anymore, because they are. And the other important thing is that they made Sunset Overdrive with Microsoft because Microsoft let them keep the IP, so they could conceivably go to someone else and make Sunset Overdrive 2, put it on everything. But I think that the game did well enough critically, and probably commercially it did pretty respectably, especially because it was the bundle. And
the
stuff
bundle
like that.
Definitely helped.
That I think Microsoft and I think Microsoft understands that they're sticking it directly to Sony by continuing to make Insomniac games that they go like, let's they probably maybe the deal's already done. Maybe they're gonna do it early in the year. Be like, all right, second one. Come out 2017, same engine, Marcus and Drew can do the game again or whatever. I understand this is their best team. These guys did Resistance 3 and or the Resistance series. I mean, this is their top pedigree team. This is their AAA team. And it's not an insult to the Ratchet guys or whatever. It's just like these are the guys that make AAA games. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if Insomniac and Microsoft made another game together. That game's going to be exclusive to Xbox One. It's going to be Sunset Overdrive 2, and it'll be announced this year, and it'll come out in 2017. That's my prediction.
Okay. You're right. There was a lot of
That's how you get to the end.
and then I'll win.
Just since this is the prediction episode, we're putting predictions in the title. I'm reiterating my one from last time around. Batman Arkham Knight will have a scene in it just like Batman Arkham City did, where Robin drops in and is like, "Yeah, you need help," and he's like, "No, go away." It'll be the same thing. Things are going to be getting out of control in Gotham City, and he'll be on a rooftop, like trying to figure something out, talking to Oracle, and then you'll just hear from up above him like, "Hey, Bruce," and like he'll turn around and look up, and it'll be Superman hovering there. And I keep saying maybe Wonder Woman. I'm not confirmed. My vision of the future isn't that clear, but for sure Superman pops up in this game and gets shot down, of course, and he's mean to him, and he leaves him alone. Batman's mean to Superman because that's what Batman does.
That's what he does.
And that sets up a Justice League, whatever game you want to call it. That even though Rocksteady is ending the Batman trilogy that they've done, they're staying in bed with DC and they're moving over to make a Justice League far-flung, a universe expanding game, and that because that's the whole thing of like Arkham Asylum was so amazing for a million reasons, obviously. But as a comic book DC fan of like all the Batman lore and characters they packed in there with references and all these different things, and when Arkham City came out, you're like, wow, you already blew so much of a load, you know what I mean, with Arkham Asylum. Now to go to Arkham City, and they found way more Easter eggs to put in, don't get me wrong, but still it was like, it seems like you should have kept something in the tank a little bit more, right? Now they're already doing a third one. Now they get to get out of Gotham and have Smallville and have Metropolis and have, do these different things. Have Themyscira, do all these different things to connect to it. Build off, what you'd assume to be the popularity at this point of the Justice League movies, right? What DC's doing with their cinematic universe, and the fact that you can have now a game that has Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Green Lantern, Flash, all have these people that aren't all of a sudden being introduced for the first time in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different world now where you can have an awesome Justice League narrative and have them all play off each other that way.
So wait, when would you see that game coming out?
That's the problem. Is like, it's not going to be. I don't think it's overt. I've kicked around the idea again in the vision that WB's making them do this, and that's what WB Montreal's been working on. That they took what they learned with Batman and are now making the Justice League game or the Flash game or whatever the hell it is, something like that. Yeah. But I don't think that's what this is. So that said, it's 3 years before you get that, which again sounds far-flung, but that'd be 2018, and the DC movie slate goes out to 2020 right now. You know what I mean? Like, they are playing the long game here in the movies coming out and them already being committed. Like, it's like, the tracks are laid. This isn't like, well, we'll see how Green Lantern does, and maybe there's a Green Lantern too. Like, no. This is happening. These movies are happening regardless. So you can have that, I'm going to do the comic book video game over here, and they're not connected, but they are drawing the fact that when you're walking through the store and you see this Justice League game and you see all these different characters, you now know them because of the movies. You have that mainstream chance to get out and do different things. That's nice.
No, that'd be awesome. I mean, I think something similar happened with Dark Knight, like when the movie trilogy was coming out, and then Arkham Asylum was just like, they had nothing to do with each other, but it was timed.
And that was a calculated move, right?
Nicely,
that's been talked about before, that Warner Brothers was like, we can't have another bad Batman game. So don't try to tie, like, Batman Begins had a game and it was terrible. And they were like, let's not do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, give it time, give Rocksteady this chance to go out and do this, and use Batman as a property, but not Dark Knight as a property. You know what I mean? Like, here's this Batman game that isn't tied in, go have fun.
Do you guys think that there's any chance that Marvel's going to have good games?
I mean, there's always a chance. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. You don't want to sit here and... I remember how absurd it was. Will Batman ever have a good game? You kidding me?
I mean, tangentially, they must understand, because of the family that Marvel's now in, that games can be made on properties that are in the same family. So they have to look at how Star Wars movies or Star Wars games are being made. They have to look at how Disney games are being made, like Disney Infinity, and even Disney. What was that one game? Disney Universe was like a kind of a 3D.
Oh right, it was like Little Big Planet.
Yeah, it was kind of. I was like, this is kind of good. Like I was like, this is a step in the right direction. So
the big thing about that, right, is how it all comes down and shakes down contract-wise. Because you figure Marvel forever was in bed with Activision, making games through Activision, right? And if you remember, God, I'm dating.
And they were blessed enough to have Raven make one of their games.
Right.
As well.
Yeah, the Wolverine one, which
was awesome.
That
was a great game.
It was a great game. Shitty story. All these different. There's stick with me. I'm dating myself now because I don't remember, but I remember it was Dan Amrich, one of Swords at Activision, putting up a blog post of basically being like, if you're looking for these Marvel games from Activision, you got to buy them now because they're off the stores forever. And the people are like, why? And he's like, that's how contracts work. It's clear that Disney was like, all right, start pulling those cards and get them out of there, which only benefits everybody. Because I don't know how the contracts were laid out, what it was, but Marvel always had these games that had a kernel of just like, this is so great, make your game about this. Wolverine, your Wolverine engine is amazing. He's getting blown off, he's animatium, he's killing things, there's blood. But then they tried to pack it into the movie. Yeah. So there's this story that doesn't work, and it's like, Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions comes out, and it's like, this game is awesome.
Yeah, that was actually a neat game.
Please, there's so many great parts to this. Yeah, the noir could be a little different. Yeah, they gotta do it again. And they're like, all right, here's Edge of Time, and it was totally rushed, and it was garbage. Yeah. And then it was like, all right, now here's Spider-Man 3, and it's like, this is even, you're going the wrong way because you're no longer, they're doing the opposite of what WB was doing and saying, all right, take Batman and make a game and just do it. Make it be good. You know what I mean?
A good Spider-Man game, I would kill for that. I remember on PS1, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I have it right up there. I have it up there on the shelf. Yeah, I got my Spider-Man copy.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that, and like, it definitely, going back to it, it does not hold up.
Right, and I mean that, and this is still the same thing about Spider-Man 2. We always talk about, right? Of like how much fun it was to swing around the open world and save things, and it was like, it's so my balloon, and you save these balloons like 30 times. Like, but like and that's when we talk about a platform game, right? Where you're talking about Smash is its own platform. That's the real hook for me, is the first person who figures out, here's this superhero game, and you're Superman, Batman, Invincible, whoever, and you put down this game and you say it will be updated every 3 months with a slew of missions to do. And they recycle, but rather than give me 5 missions I have to do 30 times, give me 30 missions I do 1 time. You know what I mean? Which takes time and money, and I understand, but I'll pay that as DLC.
Yeah, I just want the one mission of the cranes in Spider-Man.
Hey, Spider-Man, swing your cranes over here. Hey, Jimmy, good thing we're all working in the middle of the night, eh? Get him over to Oscorp. Don't put him in a car.
My final prediction, the third prediction, final prediction. And it's a big one, so I want you guys to pay attention.
It's a megaton?
It's literally a megaton. Fallout 4 will be revealed this year, and it will come out this year.
Oh my God, yes! Colin.
I think Bethesda's sitting on that one, and I really believe that. I think that Bethesda is sitting on this game. I don't think it's done. Yeah. I just think that like Todd Howard and those dudes have been working on this game for a long time.
How long has it been since Skyrim?
Let's see, Skyrim was...
Because that was Todd Howard's last like big involvement.
Yeah, that was 2011 or 2012.
Okay. Oh, it was 11, right? Because it wasn't. It was Uncharted was 11.
Right.
And then they were 11. Something 11.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it was 2011. So 12, 13, 14, 15. So it'll be 4 years by the time it comes out.
All right.
And you assume the game was in pre-production. It's a big studio. And I'm not talking about Bethesda overall as a publisher. I'm talking about Bethesda Game Studios. It's a big studio.
Right.
And I really do believe that game's going to be revealed in, say, the spring, and it'll be ready to go by holiday season.
Wow.
And I think that that's the smart way you should reveal games, and I think that that's the way that gets people hyped. You have a little... The way I would do it was like reveal it in March. Game takes place in Massachusetts or whatever, in the Commonwealth. It sounds like from all the rumors. At E3, you have it playable to press. You show it at one of the conferences, Sony or Microsoft's. That summer or early fall, you have your press event where you invite press to come play an elongated portion of the game, and then you release it. You know, like there's no reason to string this out.
Yeah.
Your schedule's great, but at what point are they doing the multiplayer beta?
Oh man,
because you know it's coming.
And that, no, I don't. I don't know that it's coming. I bet you.
I hope. I don't think it will either.
I think it's more likely that game will not have multiplayer than it will. And I don't mean that. I mean that in any way. I mean even that in co-op. Like that's not the way people want to play that stuff. Like I really hope they understand that people do not want to play that game with other people. You know, it's not the way we played Fallout, because it's against everything it's against the grain with what that game's all about, which is do whatever you want, whenever you want, do it at your own pace.
Yeah.
How can you possibly do that with all these frigging idiots chattering in your ear? So that's my final prediction.
My final prediction is not a prediction as much as it's just a request. Crash Bandicoot come back into my life.
I think it's really possible.
Is it?
Yeah.
Tell me it is, Colin. Tell me more.
I think it is. So it's complicated, right? You know, these games were made by Naughty Dog, owned by Universal, that was eventually sold to Activision, that, you know, they made some bad games and then the series just went away. Sony's been really clear, and Superbot Entertainment was really clear when they were making All-Stars that they tried. Anything people requested, they tried to get. So you would assume that that's Crash and that's Cloud and that's whatever. I think that you will find that Activision doesn't want to do anything with it, but that someone's going to have enough money to get it from Activision and do something with it. Whether or not it's a good idea or not, I don't know. I don't think Crash Bandicoot's relevant anymore. Like, I actually think that I think that it would have.
Wampa fruits.
I think that if Activision makes money, they make that's one thing they do. They make lots of money. And if they thought that franchise could make any money, they would have made it. Not only would they have made that game a long time ago, probably, but they would have made it with one of their good studios. So I think that they're reading the tea leaves, being like, well, Crash Bandicoot is literally now 15 plus years away from any relevance.
Yeah. No.
So like, and the studio that made those games, the games that people cared about, will never touch those games again. So why? You know, like I think that there's more behind the scenes stuff going on there that I think meets the eye, but I think it's possible. Yeah. I think it's very possible. Yeah.
That makes me happy, Colin. All right. Final topic for this week.
Yeah.
What are our biggest concerns for 2015?
In the gaming space.
In the gaming space.
My life space is you don't support us on Patreon. I quit my job for nothing. We all go to hell.
You don't go to hell if you don't have money.
Isn't that's what my mom always said? If you don't make money, you go to hell.
Oh man,
that's about right.
No. Concerns for me for 2015, the concern would be that we don't learn from the mistakes of 2014. We all talk about how horrible and I don't mean we. I mean everyone who watches these videos, who's on the internet, part of our video game community talks about how horrible the internet was in 2014, right? Like how... That's our HDMI splitter. Yay!
Let's plays.
Horty, you're not Horty.
No, notice how we're not scared. Notice how we have nothing to worry about.
He's got bad eyes, Colin. He doesn't know what's happening. It's okay. That we don't learn from our mistakes. We keep being bad people. The problem was, here's the thing. We're not even. I'm tiptoeing around the landmine of Gamergate because that's a podcast all to itself. But the fact of even if you agreed or didn't agree with the portrayal of women in games and the way that they are treated in our industry and our fandom and everything else, that doesn't matter. It's taking the lesson of how other people feel and taking that into account as you move forward and how you comment or how you do anything, or if you're making a game, how you want to think about what your narrative is and how you're using people. That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's 100% right on either side of this argument. It's just about asking the tough questions and dealing with it. And that would be the big thing outside of even Gamergate or any of that stuff. Just asking yourself questions you don't want to ask. I always talk about Colin, right? You could look at Colin on the internet and say, this guy is a jackass. You know, he's a Republican, he believes this, and da-da-da-da-da. Colin has opinions on everything. Colin is one of the few people I've ever met who has strong opinions about something and will change his mind about them and tell you why he did it. And if you present evidence or a point to what you're talking about, he will take that in and weigh it. He doesn't just shut down. If I came at him and I said, well, this is, the Islanders are terrible people because of X, Y, and Z, he would take it in, not just immediately shut down and be like, I don't want to talk about that. You know what I mean? No, it's what I feel, it's what I know, it's what I believe in. Everyone needs to, echo out, especially in this industry and what we do, and I mean industry in terms of community, about other people. You know what I mean? Being more inclusive, about the fact that video games, if you aren't gonna stay in this little box that you may think you want them to or whatever, right? They're gonna be on mobile platforms. They're gonna be telling stories that are gone home and then that are modern warfare, and that there's a spectrum of things happening here, and that it's going to touch everyone eventually. Everyone will be a gamer at some point. In the same way, I don't call myself a movie watcher or a TV watcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's just something.
You're just a person.
That's just something you do, and you're normal if you do that. It's a bigger story if somebody's like, I don't have a TV. You're like, what? Yeah. That's how it is. That's where gaming's going. So we need to get on the same track and same page about it's cool. Let's have a conversation that doesn't involve death threats and horrible people.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm going to get less existential than you're
Good.
right now.
Your concern is that the veto will not be properly supported.
No, I mean, it's also about learning lessons from 2014. It's learning about very literal technical lessons from 2014. I'm thinking about games that are coming out next year that need to work properly on day one. And The Division is the game that I'm thinking about the most.
Yeah, and that's a
because
Ubisoft game.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, okay.
The fact is that games have been released. Many games have been released in inexcusable state.
Yeah,
exactly. Games that don't, that shouldn't have problems, like Tetris Ultimate.
Yeah,
that Ubisoft put out that doesn't work. If you have 2,000 friends, you can't play the game. Right. Because it's constantly pinging servers, and then they're like, disconnect the internet, and it'll work better. And they're like, well, I want to log my score so I see how I do against other people. Fix your game. You know what I mean? Little Big Planet 3 wasn't working for a lot of people. Little Big Planet 3, which was in development forever, by the way.
Yeah.
Like
Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, like Master Chief Collection.
How does
Drive
that
Club
not work?
Far Cry 4 had problems when it came out. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare had problems when it came out. It's just a constant thing.
Dead Nation was this year, right? PS4.
Yeah, Dead Nation on PS4, which had
the exact same problem as the PS3
This was the
version.
worst thing. Dead Nation came out on PS3 in 2010. It had a problem where if you had 100 friends on PSN, it would freeze. Greg and I were the first ones to discover this before the game came out. We told Housemarque, and they fixed the problem. Then Dead Nation came to PS4, and it had the same problem. I don't understand how no one communicated to the porting studio. I think it was Climax that brought it over. I could be wrong. That brought it over and was like, hey guys, by the way, when we made the game, we had maxed out friends list problems. You need to populate your friends lists with bots or whatever to make sure that the game works fine. Publishers need to take a step back, because it's really not the devs, it's the publishers. They need to take a step back and say, like, is the game ready? Did we QA it properly? Are all the bugs ironed out? Should we give it more time? It's not excusable to release a game in the state that some of these games have been in. Drive Club was an embarrassment for Sony. Yeah. And it's not that we're racing fans. We don't care. I'm never going to play that game anyway. But watching people go through the rigmarole of having to play that game and update it and waiting impatiently, they paid $6 for a game, inexcusable. The only way that publishers are going to gain the trust back of people that have been burned this year, and there are millions of people that have been burned, literally, is to make their game... Millions of people, literally millions of people.
Millions.
They haven't been literally burned. They're literally millions of people.
Ubisoft! Stone Chin just throwing fire.
Is that they need to make games that work. And I'm telling you right now, people need to stop giving publishers money that release games that don't work. You need to follow. It's the same thing we were talking about with Mass Effect 3, right? Back in the day where it was like, could have much more eloquently said it, but my point was, I like Mass Effect 3 a lot. But if you don't like Mass Effect 3 and you already bought it, there's not much you can do about it now. What you have to remember is that next time BioWare releases a game, you don't buy it. And then you send them that message. But you have to be consistent about these things. That the developers have to be consistent, the publishers have to be consistent, and the users have to be consistent. That if you send them mixed messages or wrong messages or just keep giving them money, then they're never going to fix the problem at hand. So, reward the publishers and the developers that make these great games and release these great products, but make sure that the publishers are held accountable when they release a game that's broken, because there's no excuse. I'm sick of hearing excuses of why it's impossible to test a game in this environment. Really? I don't think so. There have been hundreds of shooters released that have worked fine online.
Yeah.
There's nothing different about the infrastructure of these consoles. And games like Destiny came out that were slammed by people that worked way better than a game like Drive Club, which was purchased by maybe a few 100,000 people. You know what I mean? No more excuses. That's my major concern. I want publishers to learn the lessons from this last year and fix the games.
Yeah.
Don't release. This is why Nintendo's so special. Is because they're the only ones that won't do that anymore. And I didn't expect it from Sony until we saw it with Drive Club, and we saw it again with Little Big Planet. It's like, these games aren't ready, and you should have known better. And so that's my major concern, is that they don't learn those lessons.
Tim.
Something I'm very concerned about is No Man's Sky. That game looks awesome, and I'm very excited for it. And every time we see it, everyone's like, "Whoa, that's so crazy!" I remember at E3, people just lost their shit because they're like, that is what Sony ended their conference with, right?
At PSX,
yeah.
Well, no, they ended.
No,
it was
E3.
the second. At E3, yes. At PSX, it was the David Jaffe game, right?
Yeah. And I remember being like, man, that looks crazy. That looks like such a crazy experience. But then it's like, where's the game? And that's my concern, is that question's never going to be answered, or at least it's not going to be satisfying. I look at this and it's like zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. It's like, wait, cool, I can do that on Google Earth. Yeah. But I'm really waiting for that game, and I hope that I'm wrong about this, because and that's why I'm concerned, is that I want to be given something that's gives all of that space something to do,
right?
Something really fun and really engaging to do, and I hope that I'm wrong, but
we'll see what the game is.
Yeah,
that's the big thing we've talked about. That
landing on a planet, you get out, it says you found it, you get back in, you fly away. Yeah, it's like, what am I doing?
We'll see. I mean, it's a very I don't think I've ever seen a studio that small make a game so ambitious.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see. I mean, Hello Games is tiny studio.
Yeah.
And these are the guys that made Joe Danger. So this is a big jump from an Excitebike clone, basically a very good Excitebike clone, to an open, maybe the most massive game ever made. Yeah. And they have. I mean, it's all going to be in.
Action game.
Presumably, it's going to be all in the algorithms they write, and it's all based on just scope. So how it renders these planets and how you discover things and all those kinds of things. But I hope it's not like Endless Ocean or something like that, where it's like a game that's literally about exploration, and I liked Endless Ocean. But that game was just about seeing, not doing. And so there's a room and space for any kind of game. There's this room and space for a game like that, but I hope that that's not what that is, because PlayStation is behind this game. They're going to look very silly if they got behind this game and supported this game and threw everything behind this game, gave them marquee treatment at their conferences and stuff, and it ends up not being this great thing. That's why I'm confident that it is, because they must know.
Yeah, exactly. They want to get behind it if it was garbage.
I often have this problem where I am complaining about something and I don't really have an answer of what it is I even want from it. I don't even know what I want from it.
The thing is that's not your job to tell you that.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's they have, and I'm sure as the year rolls on and this year we're going to see more about the game. We saw a little bit about it, at PSX, about the zooming out and that was the first time I'd ever
really. There's a little bit of shooting too when they're flying one of the spaces.
Yeah, it seemed accelerated, kind of like a time lapse look at the game. But I'm interested in that game too. It was the same way I felt about The Witness before I saw The Witness, which was like, what is this? And then you kind of understood it when you sat down with it. So hopefully we get, and that's another game that's just like, I don't know what the hell's going on with that game. That was supposed to be like a launch game for PS4, or that's how they positioned it. Then it slowly took it away. So I think we'll get answers on that soon, because I'm super intrigued about the game.
Yeah.
Because I'm not excited about, people are stoked about that game. I really don't care. I'm really more curious about,
even if it is just going to planets and finding them, and then they pop up on Tim's, or I get to a planet and Tim already discovered it. It's like, that could be chill, just flying around. But
but chill in the same way that Flow is chill or something. That's not a game that's certainly not a game that's going to require marquee treatment at PSX. You gotta, there's gotta be, my heart tells me that that's 10% of the game. That there's all this crap in the game.
Yeah.
That, I don't mean crap in the bad.
I mean, there's things to do.
Lots of stuff to do.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Now another thing we were talking about earlier with delays. That's my biggest concern with stuff. But with Nintendo specifically, there's nothing to delay besides Zelda. I want them to announce some stuff, and that's my biggest worry with them in general, is that there's Zelda, and then there's Yoshi. What else?
The Yoshi.
I don't know. They have to figure it out.
We need some new announcements, and I'm worried that we're not going to get them. I'm worried that the 3D Mario is not going to be announced this year. And that's going to be very upsetting.
Yeah, presumably they have Mario Maker and some other stuff but these are not these are again not AAA temple games. I'm interested in that too, but that's always been their MO. Mm-hmm. I think people that like you that know Nintendo and understand Nintendo, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I'm the important thing with delays, no matter what they come, who does them is it worth it, and can you see the results?
Yeah.
I think The Order is a great example of that. I think The Order was a mess when that game was released or revealed.
Yeah,
I was there. I tried to tell people, and then no one believed me until they saw the footage I saw and were like, "You're absolutely right. This game is in bad shape."
Yeah.
And that game was supposed to come out in the fall, and Sony didn't have anything this fall except for Drive Club, which was a disaster, and Little Big Planet, which is also on PS3. So they actually punted their really important AAA game into the next year in order to make it better. And every time we've played it and seen it, it's been better. And we played it at PSX. That game was really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And Ready at Dawn is very capable, and they took that time and they took that because they've been working on that game for a long time. It'll be almost 5 years by the time the game comes out. The engine's perfect. It's beautiful. It's very cinematic, but the gameplay was awesome, and I enjoyed it. I like third-person cover shooters.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Vanquish or back in the day Kill Switch. So is the delay getting you a better product, and can you see that demonstrably from either not everyone gets to play games like we do early or whatever, but are you seeing it in the coverage? Are you seeing it in the impressions of people you trust? Then you gauge it based on that, and so I think that. If Nintendo needs more, Nintendo's the company where if they need more time, I trust that.
Sure.
There are other companies where I'm like, well, how are you using your time? Naughty Dog did great things in 6 weeks. Not everyone's gonna be able to do that. Some teams like Arkham, the Arkham guys at Rocksteady need 6 months. So I think the delays will slow down. I think the fruit of the delay issue this year is the spring, and that's why it's so exciting. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. All these games are crunched into February, March, April. So, yeah, hopefully that doesn't come again and they kind of stagger out from there.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Kinda Funny Gamescast. This is the first episode of many, many, many more to come, and I want to know all
at least 10
of your thoughts on this episode and what you want going forward, how we can improve, what we can do better. And I also want to thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. It's fun to talk about games
I like
finally.
Doing this yeah.
This is our new job.
Refreshing.
Support us on patreon.com/kindafunnygames.
Yeah, and thank you for all your support.
Watch us talk every day at twitch.tv/kindafunnygames.
And also iTunes, SoundCloud. If you look for Kinda Funny or Kinda Funny Games for this stuff and our other stuff, that would be fancy.
You can just go to kindafunny.com and there's links to everything.
Bam!
You're overwhelmed. Just go to kindafunny.com.
Yeah.
Because right now they're freaking out. They have their pen. They're
Where
trying
do I
to
go?
write notes. Where do I go? And they're on
driving
their phone.
their FedEx van. They're trying to do it on their phone.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that the schedule for this show is the same as the Game Over Grady show. So,
Topic by topic.
Yep, topic by topic, Monday through Thursday. Full episode Friday, new episode and last episode Friday. Same rigmarole that you guys are used to.
Get it early on patreon.com.
Yeah, getting early there, get early everywhere. It's awesome. Until next week, thank you.